The morning lights of Kepler Station flickered on as hundreds of beings from different worlds started their daily work. The huge space station floated in the dark between star systems, a place where traders, miners, and travelers stopped to buy supplies and rest. Hyun walked through the busy marketplace with slow, careful steps. His gray hair was tied back in a simple knot, and his clothes were plain but clean. The human man carried a large bag on his shoulder filled with electronic parts and tools. He had been selling these items on Kepler Station for 3 years now. Everyone knew him as an honest trader who never cheated anyone. The marketplace was loud and crowded. Blue-skinned Altarians argued over metal prices with tall, thin Zelokans. Small, furry Kemites ran between the stalls carrying messages. The air smelled of strange spices and engine oil. Hyun liked this chaos. It reminded him of better times before the war. He stopped at Dana's security booth near the center of the market. Dana was the head of station security, a tough woman with short black hair and a metal eye that could see things normal eyes could not. She and Hyun had become friends over the years. "Good morning, Dana," Hyun said, setting his bag down. "Any trouble last night?" "Just the usual. Some drunk miners fighting over card games. Nothing serious." Dana looked at him with her good eye. "You look tired, Hyun. Are you sleeping well?" Hyun shrugged. "I sleep enough. Business keeps me busy," but Dana was right. Hyun had not been sleeping well for weeks. He kept having dreams about the war on Meridian Prime 15 years ago. In his dreams, he was running through burning buildings while enemy ships fired from the sky. He was carrying wounded soldiers to safety one after another, until his arms could barely move. High above the marketplace, something else was watching. Krextal stood on the observation deck looking down at the crowd below. He was 8 feet tall with dark purple skin that looked like leather. His head was long and narrow with 4 eyes that could see heat and movement from far away. Sharp teeth filled his mouth and his hands ended in claws that could cut through metal. Krextal was a Vorthan, one of the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. His people lived for the hunt. They traveled from world to world looking for strong prey to kill. The harder the prey was to catch, the more honor the hunter gained. For 3 months, Krextal had been following stories about a human on Kepler Station. The story said this human had fought off an entire group of Scalian raiders by himself. The Scalians were known as fierce warriors, but somehow one human had held them back long enough for a whole mining colony to escape. Most beings thought the stories were lies. But Krextal knew better. He had fought humans during the war. He knew how dangerous they could be when they had something to protect. Krextal held a weapon that looked like a rifle, but it fired beams of pure energy instead of bullets. The weapon could burn through tank armor. It had never failed to kill his prey. 3 other Vorthans waited in hidden positions around the station. Veltar, his second in command, was watching the docking bays. Zorkun, the youngest hunter, covered the residential areas. Nexrol watched the cargo holds. They had all heard the stories about this human. They wanted to be part of the hunt that would make them famous. Down in the marketplace, Hyun felt something was wrong. His old soldier instincts were telling him that someone was watching him. He had learned to trust these feelings during the war. They had saved his life many times. "Dana," he said quietly, "I think we might have trouble." Dana's metal eye began scanning the crowd automatically. "What kind of trouble?" "The bad kind. Someone is watching us. I can feel it." Dana trusted Hyun's judgment. During his 3 years on the station, he had warned her about problems before they happened. Smugglers trying to hide weapons, traders selling stolen goods, pirates planning to rob supply ships. He was always right. "Should I call for backup?" Dana asked, her hand moving toward her communication device. "Not yet. I do not want to cause panic if I am wrong. But be ready." A young man ran up to their booth. His name was Tae, and he worked as Hyun's helper. Tae was only 18 years old, with bright eyes and a big smile. He had grown up on a farm world and still got excited about life on a space station. "Hyun, the part shipment from Altair 7 is 3 days late," Tae said, slightly out of breath. "The shipping company says there was engine trouble. Should we find another supplier?" "No, we wait. The Altarians make the best power cells in this sector. Their quality is worth the delay." Hyun put his hand on Tae's shoulder. "But I want you to do something for me. Go to the storage room and count our emergency supplies. Food, water, medical kits. Make sure everything is there." Tae looked confused. "Is something wrong?" "Just being careful. And Tae, if I tell you to go somewhere quickly, do not ask questions. Just go, understand?" The young man nodded, though he still looked worried. He had learned that Hyun always had good reasons for his requests, even when they seemed strange. High above, Krextal watched this conversation through his weapon's scope. The human looked calm, but there was something in his movements that suggested military training. The way he stood, the way his eyes kept checking the exits, the way he positioned himself so he could see most of the marketplace. This one will be interesting, Krextal said to himself. His mandibles clicked together, which was how Vorthan showed excitement. He activated his communication device to speak with his hunting team. All units report positions. Veltar in position at Docking Bay 7. No signs of escape routes being prepared. Zorkan covering Residential Deck 9. Target's quarters are being monitored. Nexrel watching Cargo Bay 12. All shipping records have been reviewed. Target has no scheduled departures. Good, Krextal said. Begin Phase 2. Move to closer positions but maintain concealment. This human is dangerous. Do not underestimate him. The Vorthans began moving through the station like shadows. Their technology allowed them to bend light around their bodies, making them nearly invisible. They had used this advantage to hunt successfully on dozens of worlds. Back in the marketplace, Hyun continued his normal business, but every part of his mind was alert. He sold power cells to a Chemite trader. He bought rare metals from an Altarian merchant. He helped an old Zelican woman carry her heavy packages to her ship. But all the time he was watching and listening, counting the number of security guards in the area, checking which stalls could provide cover if shooting started, remembering where the emergency exits were located. Hyun, Dana said quietly, my sensors are picking up some strange readings, energy signatures that do not match any known species on the station. What kind of signatures? Advanced camouflage technology. Military grade. Very expensive. Dana's metal eye glowed brighter as it increased its scanning power. Someone is here who does not want to be seen. Hyun felt his heart beat faster, but his face remained calm. After 15 years of peace, it seemed the war had finally found him again. He had always known this day might come. He had hoped it would not be so soon. How many? He asked. At least 3, maybe 4. They are good at hiding, but my eye can detect heat signatures even through camouflage. Can you identify the species? Dana was quiet for a moment as her sensors worked. Then her face went pale. Vorthan. They are Vorthan hunters, Hyun. Hyun closed his eyes for a second. Vortans were the worst possible news. They did not hunt for money or politics. They hunted for sport and honor. Once they chose a target, they never gave up. Why would Vorthans want you? Dana asked. I have no idea, Hyun lied. But deep down, he suspected this was about something that happened during the war, something he had tried very hard to forget. Krextal moved his weapon slowly across the crowd below. His enhanced eyes could see heat patterns and heartbeats through the scope. Most of the beings in the marketplace showed normal life signs. But one signature was different. The human male near the security booth had a heartbeat that was too slow and steady. His body temperature was slightly lower than it should be. These were signs of someone with military training, someone who had learned to control fear and stay calm under pressure. Target confirmed, Krextal whispered into his communication device. Human male, approximately 45 years old, gray hair, carrying trade supplies. Excellent, came Veltar's voice through the speaker. Shall we begin the hunt? But Krextal did not answer immediately. Something about the human's face looked familiar. The hunter adjusted his scope to get a clearer view. The human was talking to the station security chief, his movements careful and controlled. Then the human turned slightly, and Krextal saw his profile clearly. The Vorthan's weapon began to shake in his hands. A flood of memories rushed through his mind, taking him back 15 years to the hell of Meridian Prime. He had been young then, barely old enough to join a hunting pack. The war between the Alliance and the Scalian Empire was raging across a dozen worlds. The Vorthans had chosen to fight alongside the Alliance, not because they cared about politics, but because war provided excellent hunting opportunities. Krextal remembered the day everything changed. His pack had been scouting ahead of the main Alliance forces when they walked into a Scalian ambush. Plasma fire had rained down from hidden positions in the ruins of an old city. One by one, his packmates had fallen. A Scalian energy blast had caught Krextal in the chest, burning through his armor and leaving him unable to move. He had crawled behind a pile of broken concrete, leaving a trail of purple blood behind him. The Scalians were moving closer, checking bodies and finishing off any survivors they found. That was when the human had appeared. Krextal remembered seeing a figure in Alliance military armor running through the destruction. The human was not part of any unit Krextal recognized. He seemed to be moving alone, helping anyone he could find. When the human saw Krextal bleeding behind the rubble, he did not hesitate. Even though Vorthans and humans had only been allies for a few months, even though most humans were still afraid of the predator species, this soldier immediately began giving medical aid. "Easy there, big guy," the human had said in broken Vorthan. "You are hurt pretty bad, but I think I can help." The human had used his own medical supplies to treat Krextal's wounds. He had shared his water and emergency food rations. When Scalian patrols came too close, the human had carried Krextal on his back to safer hiding places. For 3 days, they had moved through enemy territory together. The human never complained about the weight or the danger. He just kept moving, kept helping, kept protecting a being he barely knew. On the 3rd day, Alliance rescue teams had finally reached their position. The human had carried Krextal to the medical transport, made sure the doctors understood his injuries, and then disappeared back into the chaos of war. Krextal had asked for the human's name before he left. "Hyun," the soldier had said simply. Just Hyun. Now 15 years later, Krextal was looking at that same face through his weapon scope, down in the marketplace. Hyun continued talking with Dana, but part of his attention was focused on the feeling of being watched. His old instincts were screaming warnings at him. Someone with serious skills was studying him, probably through a weapon sight. "Dana, I need you to do something for me," Hyun said quietly. "Use your sensors to scan the upper observation areas. Look for Vorthan heat signatures." Dana's cybernetic eye turned upward, scanning the decks above the marketplace. After a moment, she stiffened. "Found one. Observation Deck 7, Section 12. He has a weapon." "How big?" "Military-grade plasma rifle. The kind that can punch through battleship armor." Hyun felt cold sweat on his forehead, but he kept his voice steady. "Can you get a clear view of him?" "Negative. He is using advanced camouflage, but I can see his outline through thermal imaging." Dana paused. "Hyun, he is aiming directly at you." Tae returned from checking the supply room, his young face full of concern. "Hyun, is everything okay?" "You look worried." "Everything is fine," Hyun lied. "Did you count the emergency supplies like I asked?" "Yes, we have enough food and water for 2 weeks. Medical supplies are fully stocked." Tae looked around nervously. "But why do we need to know this?" Before Hyun could answer, his communication device made a soft beeping sound. Someone was requesting a direct channel to his frequency. This was unusual because most people contacted him through the station's normal communication system. Hyun looked at Dana, who nodded. Her sensors would monitor the conversation for any threats. "This is Hyun," he said, accepting the communication request. A deep voice spoke in accented standard Galactic, the language most species used for trade and diplomacy. Human called Hyun. "You once helped a young Vorthan warrior on Meridian Prime during the war. Do you remember this?" Hyun's blood turned to ice. The voice was definitely Vorthan, with the clicking sounds their species made when they spoke. But more importantly, the speaker knew about something that happened 15 years ago on a battlefield far from here. "I helped many people during the war," Hyun said carefully, "human and alien alike. That was my job. Your job was to be a combat engineer, building bridges and defenses for Alliance forces." The voice continued, "But you spent your free time searching for wounded soldiers and bringing them to safety. This was not your job. This was your choice." Hyun realized that whoever was speaking had done serious research about his military service. This was not a random hunter looking for sport. This was personal. "Who are you?" Hyun asked. "I am Krextal, formerly of the Meridian Scout Pack, now hunt leader of the Crimson Talon clan." The Vorthan's voice carried weight and authority. "I came to this station to hunt you, human, to claim you as the greatest trophy of my career." Dana's hand moved toward her weapon, but Hyun shook his head slightly. Starting a fight in the crowded marketplace would get innocent people killed. "And now?" Hyun asked. There was a long pause before Krextal answered. "Now I find myself facing a problem I did not expect." High above, Krextal continued to watch Hyun through his scope. The human was handling the situation exactly as a trained soldier should. No panic, no sudden movements, just calm assessment and preparation. But Krextal could not pull the trigger. In Vorthon culture, honor was more important than life itself. A warrior who broke the sacred codes would be cast out from all packs and marked for death by his own people. And one of the most sacred codes was the life debt. If someone saved your life, you owed them everything. You could never harm them or allow others to harm them. The debt could only be repaid by saving their life in return, or by dying in their defense. Krextal had become one of the most feared hunters in the galaxy. He had tracked prey across dozens of worlds. His trophy collection included the heads of warriors from 30 different species. But all of his success, all of his reputation, came from the fact that he was alive to achieve it, and he was only alive because a human named Hyun had risked everything to save him. "Leader, what are your orders?" Veltar's voice crackled through the communication system. "The target is in optimal position. We should strike now while we have the advantage." Krextal closed his eyes and tried to think. His hunting instincts demanded that he complete the mission. His reputation and the honor of his clan depended on it, but his personal honor demanded something else entirely. "Stand by," Krextal said. "I need more time to assess the situation." "Time for what?" "It is just one human. Even if he is skilled, he cannot fight all four of us." "You do not understand," Krextal said quietly. "This is not just any human." Back in the marketplace, Hyun was making quick plans. If shooting started, he needed to get Tae and as many innocent people as possible to safety. The marketplace had several emergency exits, but they were far from his current position. "Krextal," Hyun said into his communicator. "What do you want from me?" "I want to know if you remember Meridian Prime, the ruins of the old capital city." A young Vorthon scout who was bleeding to death behind a pile of concrete. Hyun was quiet for a moment. He remembered many wounded soldiers from that terrible war. But he also remembered one alien who had been hurt worse than anyone should have survived. A young Vorthon who had looked at him with 4 eyes full of pain and gratitude. "I remember," Hyun said softly. "Do you remember what you did for him?" "I helped him get to safety. It was the right thing to do." "That young scout was me," Krextal said. "You saved my life, human, and now I must decide what that means." The silence that followed Krextal's words seemed to last forever. Around the marketplace, normal life continued. Traders sold their goods, travelers bought supplies, and children ran between the stalls playing games. But in the space between the observation deck and the security booth, 2 warriors from different worlds faced the weight of old debts and new choices. Hyun finally broke the silence. "So you came here to kill me because of what happened on Meridian Prime?" "No," Krextal replied through the communicator. "I came here to kill you because of what happened after Meridian Prime. The stories of your fighting skills spread through the hunter networks. A human who single-handedly held off Scalian raiders while an entire mining colony escaped. That kind of prey brings great honor to whoever can claim it." Dana was listening to the conversation through her security systems. Her cybernetic eye was still tracking the Vorthon hunter above them, but she could also see 3 other heat signatures moving through the station. The hunters were getting into better positions. "Hyun," she whispered, "they are surrounding us. Whatever you are going to do, decide quickly." But Hyun was thinking about something else entirely. He was remembering that young Vorthon scout from 15 years ago. The alien had been so badly hurt that the medics said he should have died 3 times over during their journey to safety. But he had kept fighting, kept surviving, even when his body should have given up. "You lived," Hyun said simply. "Yes. I lived to become the greatest hunter in my clan's history. I have tracked prey across 40 worlds. My trophy collection fills an entire ship. Other hunters fear my name." Krextal's voice carried both pride and something else, something that might have been uncertainty. "But now you cannot pull the trigger." Up on the observation deck, Krextal's hands tightened on his weapon. The human understood the situation perfectly. In Vorthon culture, the life debt was absolute. Krextal could no more kill Hyun than he could kill his own pack leader. "The honor codes of my people are very clear," Krextal said. "I owe you my life. That debt can only be repaid by saving yours in return, or by dying in your defense." Veltar's voice crackled through the communication system again. "Leader, we are in position." "What are your orders?" Krextal looked down at his weapon, then back at Hyun through the scope. The human was standing calmly, not trying to run or hide. Even knowing that 4 deadly hunters were surrounding him, he remained steady and controlled. "Veltar, I need to speak with you privately," Krextal said. "Switch to secure channel 7. The communication line changed frequencies." Now only Krextal and his second-in-command could hear their conversation. "Leader, what is the delay?" Veltar asked impatiently. "The target is perfect. One shot and the hunt is complete. There is a complication. This human, I know him. You know him? How is that possible?" Krextal took a deep breath. "During the Meridian campaign, I was wounded in an ambush. This human saved my life, carried me to safety, shared his supplies, protected me for 3 days." There was a long pause before Veltar responded. "Are you certain it is the same human?" "Completely certain. I would never forget that face." Another pause, longer this time. "Leader, this creates a serious problem." "I know. If you cannot complete this hunt because of a life debt, the clan will question your leadership. They may challenge your right to command." Krextal had already considered this possibility. In Vorten society, strength and success were everything. A hunt leader who could not kill his chosen prey would be seen as weak. Other hunters would try to take his position. "That is my concern, not yours," Krextal said. "But there is another problem. The honor codes say I must protect this human from other hunters. That includes the 3 of you. You would fight your own packmates to defend alien prey. I would fight anyone who tried to harm the one who saved my life. The codes are clear. Down in the marketplace, Hyun was having his own conversation with Dana and Tae. He had switched his communicator to a local frequency so the Vortons could not hear. "We need to get people away from here," Hyun said quietly. "If shooting starts, innocent beings will be hurt." "I can trigger a fire alarm," Dana suggested. "That would clear the marketplace in minutes." "No, too obvious. The hunters will know we are preparing something." Hyun looked around the crowded market. "How about a scheduled maintenance shutdown of the environmental systems? That would require everyone to move to different areas of the station." "I can arrange that," Dana said. "But it will take 10 minutes to implement." "Do it." "And Dana, once the civilians are clear, contact Station Command. Tell them we have armed hostiles in the marketplace. Request security teams at all exit points." Tae had been listening to this conversation with growing fear. "Hyun, why do these hunters want to kill you? What did you do?" "I did not do anything wrong," Hyun said gently. "Sometimes being good at staying alive makes you a target for those who hunt for sport. But you are just a trader. You sell electronic parts and help people fix their equipment." Hyun looked at the young man with sad eyes. "I was not always a trader, Tae. Before I came to Kepler Station, I was a soldier. I fought in a war that lasted 10 years and killed millions of people. I saw and did things that I hope you never have to experience." The communication system crackled again as Krextal returned to the main frequency. Human called Hyun. "I have made my decision. I am listening. I cannot kill you. The honor of my people forbids it. But I also cannot simply leave. My packmates expect me to complete this hunt. If I fail, they will question my leadership and possibly challenge me to combat." Hyun considered this information. "What do you propose?" "I propose we meet face to face. You and me alone. We will speak as warriors and decide what must be done." "Where?" "Cargo Bay 17. It is empty except for some old shipping containers. We will not be disturbed there." Dana immediately shook her head. "Hyun, it is obviously a trap. He wants to get you alone so he can kill you without witnesses." But Hyun was thinking about the young Vorthan scout he had helped 15 years ago. That alien had been honorable even while bleeding to death. He had thanked Hyun in Broken Standard Galactic and promised to remember the debt. "I will come," Hyun said into the communicator. "But I want your word as a warrior that you will not harm me during our meeting." "You have my word," Krextal replied immediately. "No harm will come to you from me or my pack while we speak. And I want one more thing. I want to bring my young apprentice with me. He stays outside the cargo bay, but I want him close enough to confirm that I am safe." "Agreed. Come alone, but the young one may wait nearby." Dana grabbed Hyun's arm. "This is insane. You cannot trust them." "Actually, I can," Hyun said. "Vorthans take honor very seriously. If he gives his word as a warrior, he will keep it." He looked at Tae. "Are you willing to come with me?" The young man was pale with fear, but he nodded. "If you need me, I will come." "Good. Dana, continue with the environmental shutdown. And if we are not back in 1 hour, contact Alliance Command. Tell them what happened here." 20 minutes later, Hyun and Tae were walking through the quieter sections of Kepler Station toward Cargo Bay 17. The environmental shutdown had worked perfectly. Most of the marketplace had been cleared for routine maintenance, and the crowds had moved to other areas of the station. "Hyun," Tae said nervously, What if this is still a trap? What if he lies about his honor codes? Then I will deal with that when it happens, Hyun replied. But I do not think he will lie. Vorthans are hunters, but they are not without honor, and this particular Vorthan owes me a debt that he cannot ignore. They reached Cargo Bay 17. The entrance was guarded by 2 station security officers that Dana had positioned there. Hyun nodded to them and walked through the door. The cargo bay was huge and mostly empty. A few old shipping containers were stacked against one wall, but the rest of the space was open, perfect for a conversation or for a fight. Krextal was waiting in the center of the bay. The Vorthan hunter was even more impressive in person than Hyun remembered. 8 feet tall, covered in dark purple skin that looked like armor. His 4 eyes tracked Hyun's movement as the human approached. His claws were retracted, but his hands stayed near his weapons. "You came," Krextal said in standard Galactic. "I said I would. Most beings would have run, or tried to set a trap." Hyun stopped about 10 feet away from the hunter, close enough to talk, far enough to react if necessary. "I am not most beings." "No," Krextal agreed. "You are not." The 2 warriors stood facing each other in the empty cargo bay. Hyun could hear the soft hum of the station's engines and the distant sounds of normal life continuing in other parts of Kepler Station. But here in this space, time seemed to have stopped. Krextal studied the human with all 4 of his eyes. 15 years had changed Hyun's appearance. His hair was gray now and lines marked his face. But his stance was the same, balanced, ready, alert. This was still a dangerous man, even if he no longer carried military weapons. "Do you really remember me?" Krextal asked. "Or do you just remember helping some wounded alien during the war?" Hyun thought carefully before answering. "I remember a young Vorthan scout who was hurt worse than anyone should have survived. His armor was burned through in 3 places. He had 4 broken ribs and internal bleeding. The medic said he should have died on the first day, but I did not die. No, you kept fighting to stay alive. Even when the pain must have been terrible, you never gave up. I remember thinking that your people must be incredibly strong to survive that kind of damage." Krextal's mandibles clicked softly. "My people are strong, but strength alone would not have saved me. I lived because you shared your medical supplies. I lived because you carried me when I could not walk. I lived because you protected me from Scalian patrols. I would have done the same for anyone. I know. That is what made it so remarkable." The Vorthan began walking slowly around Hyun. Not threatening, just moving. It seemed to help him think. "After the rescue teams found us, I spent 6 months in military hospitals. The doctors rebuilt my damaged organs and repaired my bones, but they could not heal the shame I felt." "Shame? Why? Because I had been saved by an alien. Because I was weak and helpless while you were strong and capable. Because I owed a debt that I could never repay." Hyun shook his head. "You do not owe me anything. I was a soldier doing my job. Your job was building bridges and defenses. Saving wounded aliens was not your job. It was your choice." Krextal stopped walking and faced Hyun directly. "When I recovered from my injuries, I swore an oath. I would become the greatest hunter in Vorthan history. I would prove that I was worthy of the life you saved." "And did you become the greatest hunter?" "Yes, I have tracked prey across 40 worlds. I have killed warriors from 30 different species. My name is known in hunter circles throughout the galaxy. Other Vorthans fear and respect me. But that is not enough." Krextal was surprised by the human's insight. "No, it is not enough. No matter how many hunts I completed, no matter how many trophies I collected, I could never escape the knowledge that I owed my success to you." Outside the cargo bay, Tay was pacing nervously. The 2 security guards were watching him with amusement. Young humans, they had learned, were always worried about something. "Your friend will be fine," one of the guards said. "If the Vorthan wanted to kill him, he would have done it in the marketplace." "This meeting is about something else. What do you think they are talking about?" Tay asked. "Old soldier business, probably. Wars leave marks on people. Sometimes those marks take years to heal." Inside the cargo bay, Krextal was explaining the complex honor codes of his people. "In Vorthan culture, we have something called the life debt. If someone saves your life, you owe them everything. You can never harm them or allow others to harm them. The debt can only be repaid by saving their life in return. Or by dying in their defense," Hyun added quietly. Krextal's 4 eyes widened with surprise. "You know our customs?" "I learned about many alien cultures during the war. Understanding your allies was as important as understanding your enemies. Then you understand my problem. I came here to hunt you, to claim you as the greatest trophy of my career, but I cannot raise my weapon against the one who saved my life. What about your packmates? Will they understand? That is complicated. Krextal's claws extended slightly, a sign of stress among his people. Veltar, my second-in-command, understands the honor codes. He will not challenge my decision directly. But Zorkan and Nexrol are younger. They care more about reputation than honor. They may see my refusal to hunt you as a sign of weakness. And if they challenge your leadership, then I will fight them. And I will win, because I am the strongest hunter in the pack. But word will spread through the hunter networks. Other Vorthans will hear that Krextal could not complete a hunt because of an old debt to an alien. Some will see this as honorable. Others will see it as failure. Hyun considered this information. So killing me would solve your reputation problem but violate your honor. And not killing me preserves your honor, but damages your reputation. Exactly. And there is another problem. If I leave without claiming you, other hunters will come. My refusal to kill you will only make you more valuable as a trophy. Every predator in the galaxy will want to succeed where Krextal failed. This was news that Hyun had been expecting but hoping to avoid. How many others? Dozens, probably. Maybe hundreds. Word travels fast in hunter circles. Hyun walked over to one of the shipping containers and leaned against it. He needed to think. What if we found a way to solve both problems? Preserve your honor and protect your reputation. I do not see how that is possible. Tell me about the other hunters in your pack. What do they want? Krextal thought about this question. Veltar wants to retire with honor and return to his homeworld. He has hunted for 30 years and collected enough trophies to ensure a comfortable old age. Zorkan wants to prove himself worthy of leading his own pack. Nexrol wants to hunt something that will make him famous among our people. And you, what do you really want? The question caught Krextal off guard. For 15 years, he had focused on becoming the perfect hunter. He had never stopped to ask himself what he actually wanted from life. I want to repay the debt I owe you, he said finally. I want to prove that I am worthy of the life you saved. And I want to understand why you risked everything for someone you had never met. That last one is easy to answer, Hyun said. I helped you because it was the right thing to do. I would hope that someone would do the same for me if our positions were reversed. But you gained nothing from helping me. You risked your own life to save an alien who might have tried to kill you after the war ended. I gained something very important. What? I gained the knowledge that I could live with myself. That when someone needed help, I was the kind of person who would provide it. Hyun looked directly at all four of Krextal's eyes. Honor is not about what others think of you. Honor is about what you think of yourself. Krextal was quiet for a long moment. Is that why you became a traitor instead of staying in the military? To help people in a different way? Partly. But also because I was tired of war. Tired of killing. Tired of watching good people die for causes they barely understood. Hyun pushed himself away from the shipping container. I came to Kepler Station because I wanted to build things instead of destroying them. I wanted to help people solve problems instead of creating new ones. And yet your skills as a warrior followed you here. Skills like that never completely go away. But I hoped I would never need to use them again. I am sorry that my hunt has brought violence back into your life. Hyun studied the Vorthan hunter. Are you really sorry? Or are you just saying what you think I want to hear? I am really sorry. 15 years ago, you gave me a chance to live and grow and become something better than I was. Today I have threatened to take that same chance away from you. It is not honorable. Then let us find a better way. What do you suggest? Hyun smiled for the first time since the conversation began. I suggest we give your packmates what they want. Protect your reputation, honor your debt to me, and solve my problem with future hunters all at the same time. That sounds impossible. Maybe. But I learned something during the war. The impossible just takes a little longer to accomplish. Krextal's mandibles clicked with what might have been amusement. Very well, human. I am listening. First, I need to know something. In Vorthan culture, is it possible for a hunter to take a living trophy? Someone who surrenders and acknowledges defeat without being killed? It is rare, but yes. If prey surrenders with honor and the hunter accepts, the victory is complete without death. And if that living trophy then agrees to serve the hunter's clan in some way, would that satisfy the requirements of a successful hunt? Krextal's four eyes narrowed as he began to understand what Hyun was suggesting. You want to surrender to me? I want to propose a solution that serves everyone's interests. You get to claim me as your trophy. Your packmates get the honor of participating in a legendary hunt. I get to stay alive, and future hunters will know that I am already claimed by the Crimson Talon clan. What service would you provide to my clan? The same thing I do here on Kepler Station. I solve problems. I help people. I use my skills as a warrior and an engineer to make life better for others. Hyun paused. And I teach young hunters that there are things more valuable than trophies. Krextal stared at Hyun for a long moment, processing the human's proposal. The idea was so unusual that he had trouble understanding all the implications. You would willingly become my trophy? Serve my clan voluntarily? I would agree to a partnership that benefits both of us, Hyun corrected. You gain the honor of claiming the most challenging prey in the galaxy. I gain protection from other hunters and the chance to continue helping people. And my packmates? How does this serve their interests? Veltar gets to retire with honor, knowing he participated in the hunt that claimed the legendary human of Kepler Station. Zorkin gets recognition that will help him start his own pack. Nexroll gets a story that will make him famous among your people. Krextal began pacing again, his claws clicking against the metal floor. There is still the problem of proof. Other hunters will want evidence that you were actually defeated, not just convinced to join us. What kind of evidence? Usually we take heads, or at least some body part that proves the kill was real. Hyun thought about this problem. What if we staged a fight? Make it look like you captured me after a difficult battle? I could even get injured enough to make it believable. You would wound yourself to make our story more convincing? I have been hurt worse for less important reasons. This answer seemed to surprise Krextal even more than the original proposal. Most beings will do anything to avoid pain. You offer to injure yourself to help someone who came here to kill you. I am offering to help someone who saved my life 15 years ago, even though he does not remember it that way. What do you mean? Hyun walked over to the far wall of the cargo bay and looked out through a small window at the stars beyond. You think you owe me a debt because I helped you on Meridian Prime, but you saved my life that day too, even though you do not know it. How is that possible? I was unconscious for most of our journey. You were unconscious, but you were still fighting to stay alive. Watching you refuse to give up, even when your body was broken and dying, reminded me why I became a soldier in the first place. Hyun turned back to face the Vorthan. I had been thinking about deserting. The war seemed pointless, and I was tired of watching friends die. But seeing your determination to survive made me remember that some things are worth fighting for. I do not understand. If you had died that day, I probably would have abandoned my post and tried to find a way off Meridian Prime. Instead, I stayed and fought for 2 more years. I saved dozens of other wounded soldiers because you showed me that life is precious, even when it seems hopeless. Krextal's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep emotion among his people. So we both saved each other. Yes, which means we both owe debts that can only be repaid by working together. This plan of yours, it is dangerous. If other Vorthans discover that you surrendered voluntarily instead of being defeated in combat, they will consider it a deception. They might challenge the entire Crimson Talon clan. Then we will have to make sure they never find out. At that moment, the cargo bay door opened and Tae rushed inside, followed by the 2 security guards. Hyun, the young man called out. Dana sent me to warn you. Her sensors detected more ships approaching the station. She thinks they might be other hunters. Krextal immediately activated his communication device. Veltar, report status. Leader, we have a problem. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They are broadcasting Scalian military codes. Scalians? Here? Confirmed. Long-range scans indicate they are carrying boarding parties. They will dock with the station in approximately 20 minutes. Hyun felt his stomach drop. The Scalians were the same species that had ambushed Krextal 15 years ago. They were vicious fighters who showed no mercy to enemies or civilians. Why would Scalians come to Kepler Station? Tae asked nervously. Same reason as us, Krextal answered grimly. They heard about the legendary human and decided to claim him for themselves. But I thought the war ended years ago. The war ended for most species, Hyun explained. But some Scalian clans never accepted the peace treaty. They still raid border settlements and hunt Alliance veterans. One of the security guards was speaking rapidly into his communication device. reporting the situation to Dana and Station Command. But Hyun knew that Kepler Station's defenses were designed to handle pirates and smugglers, not military assault teams. "How many scallions?" Hyun asked. "Each ship carries approximately 30 warriors," Krextal replied. 90 total, all equipped with military weapons and armor. Station security has maybe 20 guards, and most of them have never fought in a real battle. The security guard said after finishing his report. "We cannot stop that many trained soldiers." Hyun looked at Krextal. "I guess our negotiation will have to wait. Right now we have a bigger problem," agreed. "But I have a suggestion." "I am listening. Let us solve both problems at once. We fight the Scalians together. If we survive, it will prove that you were worthy prey and that I was a worthy hunter. No one will question the honor of our alliance. And if we do not survive, then the debt between us will be paid in full." Hyun considered this proposal. Fighting alongside the Vorthan who had come to kill him was not something he had expected to do today, but the alternative was letting the Scalians slaughter innocent civilians on the station. "How long do we have?" Hyun asked. 15 minutes until they dock. Maybe 5 more minutes before they reach the main population areas. Not much time to prepare. No. But enough time to make them regret coming here. Hyun turned to Tae and the security guards. "I want all 3 of you to go to the emergency shelters. Help get the civilians to safety." "What about you?" Tae asked. "I am going to do what I should have done 15 years ago. Finish the fight." The young man looked like he wanted to argue, but one of the security guards took his arm. "Come on, kid. Let the soldiers handle this." After they left, Hyun and Krextal were alone again. "I need weapons," Hyun said, "and armor if you have any that fits humans. My ship has a full armory. We can be equipped and in position in 10 minutes. "Good, what about your packmates?" "They will fight with us. Veltar has experience fighting Scalians. Zorkin and Nexral will follow orders." Krextal paused. "But I must warn you, if we do this, if we fight together, it will change everything between us." "How?" "In Vorthon culture, those who fight side by side become pack brothers. The bond is stronger than blood, stronger than clan loyalty. Once made, it can never be broken." Hyun smiled grimly. "After 15 years, I think it is time we became proper allies." They ran through the corridors of Kepler Station toward the docking bay where Krextal's ship was berthed. Behind them, alarms were sounding as station security tried to organize evacuations. "Hyun," Krextal said as they ran, "there is something else you should know." "What? The Scalian clan that is attacking? They are the same ones who ambushed my pack on Meridian Prime. I recognize their ship markings, so this is personal for you too. Very personal." They reached Krextal's ship, a sleek hunter vessel designed for stealth and speed. The other 3 Vorthons were already there, loading weapons and checking equipment. "The human fights with us?" Veltar asked, looking surprised. "The human fights with us," Krextal confirmed. "He is pack brother now." Veltar nodded approvingly. "Good. We will need his skills." Zorkin handed Hyun a set of combat armor modified for human anatomy. "This should fit you. The power cells are fully charged." "What about weapons?" Hyun asked, struggling into the unfamiliar armor. Nexral offered him a plasma rifle similar to the one Krextal carried. "Can you use this?" Hyun took the weapon and quickly checked its power settings and targeting systems. The design was different from human weapons, but the basic principles were the same. "I can use it." "Excellent," Krextal said. "Now here is the plan. The Scalians will dock at Base 7 and immediately move toward the marketplace where they expect to find you. We will be waiting for them." 4 hunters and 1 human against 90 Scalian warriors? Veltar asked. "The odds are almost fair," Krextal replied with what might have been humor. They moved through the station's maintenance tunnels, avoiding the main corridors where civilians were still evacuating. Hyun's old military training came flooding back as they planned their ambush. "The marketplace has good cover and multiple escape routes," Hyun said, "but it also has a lot of innocent people. We need to make sure the fighting stays away from them." "Agreed," Krextal said. "We draw the Scalians to Cargo Bay 12. It is isolated and has only 1 entrance. That could trap us as easily as them." "True. But Scalians are not known for their patience. If we kill enough of them quickly, the rest will charge into the bay without thinking." They reached their positions just as the Scalian ships finished docking. Through security cameras, they watched as armored warriors poured out of the ships and began moving through the station. "They are splitting into 3 groups," Veltar observed. 30 heading for the marketplace, 30 for the residential areas, 30 for the command center. Same plan as Meridian Prime, Krextall said grimly. Divide and conquer. Then we give them what they expect, Hyun said. But not the way they expect it. The first group of Scallions reached the marketplace 15 minutes later. They moved in standard military formation, weapons ready, scanning for targets.